Hey guys, welcome to Love, Life, and Politics, where I talk about love, life, and mostly politics. Per usual, links in the description below to all the people that I follow, as well as my link to Subscribestar, and I'll eventually get my BitChute account down there as well. Anyways, without further ado, let's talk about what happened this week. Three major things that happened this week was number one, Trump finally is polling a lot better and closing the gap. Black Lives Matter going into neighborhoods and acting a fool, and man in Portland getting knocked out by BLM. Without further ado, let's talk about what happened this week. First thing that's actually good news. We're going to start off on a good note. Trump is closing the gap, and the person to first deliver the most glorious of news was a CNN poll. This CNN poll is the first one to show us how crazy things are getting right now and how things are spicing up and benefiting the president. They are the first ones to really have that 16-point lead back in the day, more towards the COVID era when that stuff was really hitting. And now they're going to be the first one. They are technically the first ones to show the poll showing that this margin has shrunk extremely. How do you say it's vastly shrunk? That's what I'm trying to say. It has shrunk a lot. I mean, he was 14-point lead, and now he's at essentially 4-point lead. Biden at 50 and him at 46. This early in the race, and honestly, a lot of people are saying it's because of his pick for vice president. A lot of black people do not like Kamala, and that's 100% understandable. She's lame. She says whatever she needs to say in order to get the votes that she wants. She'll say whatever she needs to say to get what she wants. She has flip-flopped on so many issues. She used to be very law and order. All of a sudden, police gotta go. She used to be tough on crime, and all of a sudden, oh, nobody can do any wrong. Yeah, go burn stuff down. She will say what she used to be a little bit more moderate, but now she's just loving and swinging on the progressive wing. And it shows. And Trump has brilliantly and tactfully done what he needed to do with the DNC. A lot of people, again, have said, not a lot of people, my boy Tim Pool, shout out Tim Pool, he said, it looks like they're preparing to lose. They're not spending money where they need to spend the money, because how is it that you're not going to buy the ad space during the DNC and Trump beats you to it? My gosh, I've seen his commercials everywhere. That's another major story. I mean, I guess I can wrap this up in here. The Washington Post, Trump just bought out so much of their ad space. Like, his campaign is popping up everywhere. There's a point where you actually have to, it's right there in your face and you have to click to exit it out. He's countering the narrative, and it's phenomenal. And I pray that this continues, because if he continues to do what he's doing, speaking to the American people with his briefings, as well as just not being anti-American, like, hey, yo, we're trying to get rid of cops. Let's not improve cops, even though 91% when polled of African Americans say that they want just as much cops as they have now or more. And you think that's going to be a winning issue? That's very, very dumb. And I think when they put Kamala Harris in there, people were African Americans decide, Black Americans, let's go with that. Just Black Americans decided to do a little bit more research, or they already knew a little bit about it, and they're like, yeah, we don't like this. And Trump has benefited greatly. If he continues on this trajectory, and if the jobs report from next month, from next month are good and show the progress, even if it's as good as it was last month, even though last month was not as phenomenal as a couple months before that. He's on track to get a stupid win. If he's closing the gap this early, unless he makes just some dumb mistake, I'm talking a dumb mistake, he's got this in the bag. And not to say that anybody should, relax in terms of their turnout. We all got to turn out for him hardcore. Even a lot of people who are kind of in the middle, and even some people who are on the left are like, nah, I don't mess with that at all, because they've essentially veered so far that people who are, you know how a lot of people will say that, hey, if you put a frog inside like a pot and then you slowly turn on a temperature, it will boil to death because it doesn't notice that it's boiling and it's dying. The left has the Democrats, like the actual sane Democrats, they're there. There's crazy people on the right, crazy people on the left. There's good people on the right, good people on the left. There's a lot of differences of policy, and there is a major difference on religious aspect, as well as what they believe decency and progressivism really is, because they believe that progressivism is making somebody else pay for your progress, and Republicans believe that progressivism is trying to teach you how to fish yourself, trying to progress you as an individual, and then having that expand to the people around you as you continue to improve the lives of people around you, therefore making everybody go up like that. That's the fundamental difference between the two. And anyways, these people that were in the Democratic Party essentially are now, it's such a strong veer that they're like, whoa, I gotta wake up. It's boiling in here. These people are literally trying to burn down this country. And I think that has played very well to Trump, and he made a very wise decision in being law and order, even though it looked like everybody did not want law and order because they were tainting all of law enforcement for the sins of a few. Anyways, that's on that. Good news. Let's hope that trajectory continues, and 2020 is a blowout, because that will show. And honestly, I think having a blowout in 2020 will not only help the Republican Party, but it will also help the Democrat Party, because then the progressives can say, okay, their whole motto is that, hey, our progressivism is really what the country wants. It's really what the country wants. If we have a just ridiculous amount of blowout supporting Trump, it will show them, okay, we really fundamentally do not understand where the country is at right now, because we're assuming that our boy will win, even though things aren't quite looking perfectly. We just assume he will win because Trump is bad. But if Trump has a blowout win, like you can't even contest it, he gets a mad W, they will have to rethink how they're acting and come back to the middle. Country does better when people are, I wouldn't even say just more like-minded, if we have just values that stand together, because the left has just left the values behind. Hardcore leftists. Again, I have friends that are Democrats or liberals. I don't know if they're classical liberals, but they're sane liberals. Like, you can sit down and have a conversation with this person, and when you leave, you will not think that they hate you or belittle you. Those are the type of liberals we need to have more of. I mean, I feel like life would be a whole lot better if there was, just way more Republicans in the country. But I'm not the one making the how do you say, making the rules and making everybody think the way I want them to think. It's better when there's a diverse form of ideas, but I sure do wish conservatism was way more prominent. Anyways, second thing that happened is Black Lives Matter acting a fool per usual. This time they're going into neighborhoods, well-off, gentrified, quote-unquote, neighborhoods, and saying that they need to leave because these houses in this neighborhood belongs to black people. They need to leave their house. They're disrupting. This is like in the middle of the night, disrupting the neighbors and saying, I used to live here. This is one guy. I used to live here. And now you guys gentrified it. You have all these nice houses. Y'all need to leave. This is my neighborhood. Blah, blah, blah. You took this from me. Blah, 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 blah. My gosh. I think this, again, is a failure of the people, the establishment, that people think that they're entitled to anything at all. The only thing you're entitled to is the government protecting your God-given rights. That's the only thing you're entitled to. Anything else you need to work for, or you need to be happy that your parents worked for it and gave you essentially a little bit of a leg up for you to then continue that work and continue to prosper and have your generations do even better than you did. That's all you can do. These people who are entitled, they think because they no longer live where they used to live, because somebody else decided and saw the vision, oh, you know what? I can make money by making this neighborhood better, bringing businesses here, building better houses. And that's what happened. And people came in and bought that. Instead of going out there and complaining, what you could do is better yourself, make yourself more wealthy, find ways to increase your income so that you can do maybe the same thing and then maybe have quote like a black equivalent, so to speak. Because, of course, if anybody who lives there that makes money, they're first looking at their skin. Even though there's going to be black people that live in that neighborhood as well, doing well off, they won't go to their house. They'll only go to the white person, because I was listening to a conversation earlier with Ben Shapiro, great guy, check him out, about this not being a race issue and it being a class issue. Joe Biden made the mistake already of saying, yeah, black people are just as good as black people can do just as good as rich people. Essentially, I don't know the specific terminology or remember specifically what he said, but he essentially said white people are rich, black people are poor. So it shows that these people really do think lowly of themselves. They, instead of seeing an obstacle, okay, these other people managed to do something good enough and they're living really well houses. And this is where I used to live. Can I do that same thing where I live now and better that neighborhood? No. All they do is go and complain because they think they're entitled to all the wealthy stuff going on in the world, assuming that they don't have to work to get what they want. It makes no sense to me, and it is the fault of, I would say, liberal establishment, 100%, because these schools are telling you that the world is racist and the only reason you're not succeeding, or the world is sexist and that's why you're not succeeding, or the government is just out to get you, blah, 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 blah. That's what they push. Instead of teaching kids, I would say, conservative ideals of individualism, you are responsible for your destiny. Yes, certain people have less obstacles in their way. But the same way that some people are born with gifts, but somebody who goes out there and busts their ass to win will beat those people with just natural given gifts. 100%. 100%. You're not teaching people that. And you're also giving them the idea that they might not have gifts, but you're telling them that they're crippled. That does not do anything for anyone. It does not better society at all by telling people that they're crippled when they are not. Everybody's on a level playing field in these United States of America. And I do agree, some people have a little bit of a leg up. Some people are smarter than other people. That's just a fact of life. Some people are more athletic than others. That's just a fact of life. Nobody is complaining that the NBA is not completely, but is strongly dominated by African Americans. They work to get there. Nobody's complaining about that. Why do we have to do that for every other sector? Come on. People who work hard to get where they get are going to get where they get. That's just how it is. And people who are making excuses and complaining don't deserve jack anything. The many success stories out there of people who had nothing, sometimes less than nothing, you know what I mean, rising up and being some of the most successful people on the planet. Y'all need to stop that. And I do think that's part of the reason why these Black Lives Matter people can think they can go into a neighborhood and think that they deserve that other person's house. They're dumb and they need to be fixed. And I think that a country as a whole needs to start showing these people the real life. Real life is you work for what you get. Don't go knocking on somebody else's door because you think you've been wrong because you're not as successful as them. Simple as that. And final thing that we want to talk about. I probably should have inverted this. Bad news to good news. But Portland, if you guys haven't seen the video, I recommend you go see it so you don't think I'm just exaggerating. A white man essentially protects a transgender woman who was getting viciously beat and robbed by Black Lives Matter protesters. Beat and robbed. Okay? And then altercation goes into a truck. He gets into his truck. There was a lady that was in the truck that comes out of the truck, and some woman freaking drops her to the ground. It looks like she whacked her head on the ground, and they start beating on her. He drives away. Video cuts. It's him crashing. So I guess there was more protesters in the future, like further on ahead, and he ended up swerving and crashing. They get him out of the car. He's literally pleading. It looks like he's pleading for his life, and they're beating on him, and then this guy comes out from behind and freaking kicks him so hard he's straight knocked out cold. Sent to the hospital with serious injuries, and that's that. And this guy, for the Chan of Four, they essentially did some actual reporting, actual researching, found out who this guy is, and hopefully he's going to get charged, and they're going to throw the full weight of the government, full weight of justice at him. Going around beating people like this. And nobody wants to call out. The DNC has been going on for 3 days. Today's Thursday. 4 days now. 4 days. And nobody even mentioned the violence of the protest. Not at all. And do you know what this is doing? It's creating a false idea of the full scope of what's going on in our country right now. And what is going to happen, inevitably, is people will eventually wake up. And once they wake up and realize that they're being lied to by omission, they will no longer trust you. If somebody sells you a car, but neglects to tell you, the car looks absolutely pristine on the outside, which is why what they're showing at peaceful protest. That's the pristine car that they're selling you. But they don't tell you that the inside of the car is whacked out. When you drive it, it'll be good up until, give or take, 7 or 6 o'clock in the afternoon, where the engine blows up every time you drive it. That's a bit odd. That's a bit much, because it blows up, and you got to fix it again. Like that, the brakes just quit working at 7 o'clock every single day. And then not only that, like it overheats to the point that it almost burns you, because they burn stuff out there. How would you feel if somebody did that to you? Man, you would be mad. You'd probably lawsuits on that, because they sold you something and without telling you the full story, which ended up impacting you negatively. And that's what's going on with these quote unquote peaceful protests. It's going on out there. It might be good right until the afternoon, and then it gets violent. Millions and millions upon millions of property damage. 30 plus lives lost. And even during the DNC, nobody brought that portion of the protest up, and nobody spoke against it. So what's going to happen is, once that RNC comes around, people who are bored are going to, honestly, Trump is one of those types of figures, call him polarizing, I can't really argue against that people who normally don't like him, hate him, are going to watch it just because they want to see if he's going to fail. That's why they're going to watch it. And some of these people have been so in the dark because the media has done so well. Actually, it's 50-50. It's 50% the media's fault for not doing their job and fully showing the full scope of the story, only showing the negative. Okay? There's uninformed people out there who legitimately think that these protests are all peaceful and that cops are just being sent out just because Trump hates peaceful protesters. Now, what's going to happen is, once they're shown actual video of what's going on, when somebody sees what happened to that transgender lady and then what happened to the white guy who was trying to defend that transgender lady, they're now going to have a shock reaction. Why was I not told about this? Why is it that the people, conservatives, studies have shown, conservatives consume, what is it, either 40 or 60% either conservative, no, it's like 60% conservative news, then like 40% liberal news. And honestly, that might not even be of their choice. That might be because like only a very small percentage of news and media is run by conservatives. So it's just by nature, naturally how things are. But I also think that a good portion of it is because we, as conservatives, want to know a bit more. We're a little bit more skeptical of the culture that essentially says that we're evil monsters, So we want to know what's going on the other side. But liberals, on the other hand, studies are showing that they very, very small percentage of their news comes from conservative sources. So that means they're overwhelmingly seeing only one side of every story. They're always talking about people being informed. How many people are informed about what just happened in Portland? How is it that only a conservative is going to find out the crazy stuff that's happening in our country? It's going to backfire, and I pray that it backfires hard. I think a strong press and a strong media is a great thing. And yes, you can rag on Fox, but you got to think, if a significant, overwhelming majority of our media is all left-leaning, you're going to have to expect that there's one out there, Fox News, that is actually conservative. There's a reason why it's blowing up right now. It's doing so well. Tucker Carlson, Sean Hannity, kicking ratings butts right now. People are looking for news. And honestly, when you have the option between people who are not going to tell you everything versus the other side of news, which is going to tell you everything, but maybe dramatize it so their side looks better. I'll pick that every single day. One person that tells me nothing, or the other person that tells me everything, but makes it look more juicy for their side. At least you get the full set of facts. Anyways, those are the 3 major things that happened this week. Pray that next week is better than this week. Thank you for staying to the end. Please like, share, subscribe. Anything you can do to support this channel, greatly appreciate it. I really do want it to grow. I love politics. I love life. I just love love. Love life and politics. That's the name of the channel. You know what I like. But yeah, thank you for supporting. Thank you for staying to the end. I hope you guys have a blessed one. Stay safe. Peace.